Hello guys, Chris here and welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm going to be testing a GeForce RTX 4080 16GB GPU in The Last of Us Part I. This one is the Founders Edition model of the card. We are running it with the latest Nvidia drivers as usual, and I'm not overclocking it. You can see in Tech Power-Ups, GPU-Z, all of the GPU specs. Resizable bar is also enabled right there. And over on the left, we're pairing it with an i5-13600K at 5.6 GHz and 32GB of DDR5 6000 MHz in dual channel. Let's get into it, shall we? Alright, I'm really looking forward to this, guys, because we're finally gonna have a great experience, I think. We're playing at 4K resolution here using no DLSS at the moment, but we're gonna try that out in just a little bit. And we're using the Ultra Settings preset, which the game defaulted to, so it's basically maxed out at the moment. Also, let me just disable the motion blur. Yeah, that's it. Maxed out without motion blur. Let's do this. Shaders have already installed as well. Everything should be running smoothly from now on. Oh, this is amazing, guys. We're starting this with 69 frames per second. Could it be more perfect than this? I don't think so. Oh boy, stuttering is starting. So this game has a ton of issues, as you might be aware of right now. The 1% lows will stabilize in just a little bit. So maybe it was just a one-off. We just started after all. And yes, I progressed a little bit into the story in previous videos from here, but I wanted to start here in the capital area because it's really intensive. It's the most intensive area that I've come across so far, especially after we get out of it. We're gonna go in, kill a bunch of people, and then it's gonna be really, really intensive for a little bit. Anyways, you can see that the RTX 4080 is actually not enough to keep 60 plus FPS all of the time at 4K native resolution. And this game doesn't really use any ray tracing or anything, so it shouldn't be this intensive, right? In my opinion, at least. It's also only utilizing 13 gigabytes of VRAM. I thought it was going to be a little bit higher than that, because with 8 gigabyte cards at 1080p high settings, they actually run out of VRAM and it causes a bunch of instability. Yeah. With 16 gigabyte cards or even 12 gigabyte cards, you shouldn't really have a problem as long as you use some DLSS with the 12 gig stuff. Like the 3060, for example, outperformed the 3060 Ti in this one in terms of stability and stuttering by quite a bit. It provided a much better experience in this game, just because the Ti has 8 gigabytes. Anyways, let's get inside. I'm gonna cut the cutscene. Just gonna see the beginning of it here, see how much it drops. 59. All right, guys, the cutscene is over. Let's continue here. It should drop a bit further right now because we're seeing vegetation. Yep, look at that, 52. So the leaves and trees and everything is gonna be like the most intensive thing that you'll come across in this one, I think. Let's go, Joel. You're very, very old right now. You can't even make that jump properly. If you see a lot of tearing in this video, I'm sorry about that. It's just because I am recording this with an external capture card. G-Sync is disabled because otherwise it would have some issues recording with stuttering and stuff. So yeah, this is the way to go. It's the only way I have to record the gameplay without any FPS losses, basically. All right, let's get this one now. There we go, beautiful. Oh, you're behind me, what the heck? Well, props to this guy for not shooting us from behind, you know? He's a very respectful player, NPC. Yes, let's continue. All right. It's actually really nice, guys. I would still enable DLSS because that will definitely keep us above 60 all of the time. I will do it in just a little bit after I deal with these guys and we see the lowest FPS possible. It's kind of insane, though, that you actually need an RTX 4090 if you want to play this game at native resolution, 4K, 60 FPS plus. That's crazy. Of course, we're getting that on average, but yeah, like, you shouldn't need the top-of-the-line kind of Halo product to play games at 4K max settings without ray tracing. I get it, with ray tracing it gets really intensive, like Cyberpunk, for example. But if you disable the ray tracing in Cyberpunk, it does a really good job. Well, yeah, this doesn't have RT, and it's performing worse than Cyberpunk. So it drops into the high 40s in worst case scenario. The worst case scenario is looking at the Capitol from here, standing on top of this car. maybe moving around a little bit quicker. No, okay, yeah, 50 FPS or 49 were the minimum. Okay, I just enabled DLSS super resolution on quality, sharpening set to 15 instead of the default 67, because otherwise it a little bit over sharpened. Are over sharpened. Okay. And standing on top of the car, instead of seeing like lower 50s, we're now seeing 70s and 80s, looking that direction, mid 70s. So a good improvement here. I can tell that the game isn't really running at native, or at least it's not looking as good as it did at native resolution. And I am running a 4K panel here, of course. So there's that. There is a little bit of definition to be had from playing the game at native 4K, but this is close enough. You know, if you're not really pixel peeping, it looks extremely good, sharp and detailed. There is a little bit of shimmering every now and again. Like, for example, take a look at that edge over there. Whenever I'm moving, yeah, there is a little bit of shimmer. But, you know, if you have a smaller monitor, you won't really notice a major difference anyways. It looks good overall, and I would play like this because it's the way to get 60 plus FPS all over the time. If I'm paying this much for a graphics card, I want those 60 plus, obviously. So let's continue here. Go down into the subway. Oh boy. All right, yeah, there they are again. Let's continue. I actually played this through with the RTX 3060 Ti already. Shadows are looking really nice. Those dynamic shadows look great in this game, not gonna lie. Alright guys, let's get these bastards. Come on. There we go. Where is the other one? There he is. Oh, can I go from behind, actually? Oh, I wanted to grab him. Well, this works as well, I guess. Oh, are you asking for mercy now? Okay, I'm gonna put you to sleep. Don't worry, okay? Don't worry, you're not dead. Just sleeping. That's a lot of blood, though. Okay, well... I also saw a lot of stuttering here with the RTX 3060 Ti, I believe, whenever I set that to 1440p, by the way. And now, with the 4080, things are being really smooth, actually. Some variation sometimes in the frame time graph, but not terrible, for sure. Now we go up here into the open world once again with some vegetation and stuff, and we got the cutscene. Yeah, it's not really dropping around here, interestingly. In the previous capital area, you saw it was way more intensive than the rest of the game, basically. So let's stop it there, though. If it didn't drop previously, it's never gonna drop from 60 FPS using these settings. I wish to have seen way higher performance here with the 4080, or maybe a better DLSS implementation and way better textures as well, but this is... It's The Last of Us on PC. It's broken. Everybody knows about it already. But hey, at least if you really want to play it with a top-of-the-line PC, you can. All right, you know what I'm gonna do now? I'm really curious to see the difference between DLSS and FSR in this game. So right now we're playing with DLSS quality, of course, but I'm gonna set it to FSR quality, lower that sharpness to 15 as well. And let's see. Okay, it's a little bit more fuzzy, but it's very close at 4K. I can tell that it's a bit more over sharpened, and whenever you're moving your camera around, for example, on that fence behind Joel's head, at the edges of Joel's head, it's really noisy, and that with DLSS it wasn't really as noisy. You know, I'm gonna set it back to DLSS again and show it to you. See that? I mean, it's a YouTube video. It's still a little bit noisy, but the range of noise is not as big as in FSR. Like with FSR, the noise would start like right here, you know? And with DLSS, it starts right here. So that's the difference, basically. And again, FSR was a little bit more shimmery. Anyway, I'm gonna play with 1440p resolution next, just for curiosity's sake. I mean, there are a lot of people playing at 1440p anyways with the RTX 4080. So we should try that out. Hopefully we'll not run into a CPU bottleneck, because this game is also super CPU bound for some reason. There is like no reason why it would be CPU bound, because it's single player linear title, but it is. All right, 2560 by 1440 now, native resolution, using the same ultra settings. It's looking way worse for me because I am running it on a 4K panel, 42 inches. But, you know, if you have a 27-inch 1440p monitor, it will look as good as any other game. It's not really too soft like Hogwarts Legacy either, so that's good at least to see that. And the CPU is not really bottlenecking it, which is great. 90-something% GPU usage is what you want to see. And now the 4080 can provide a somewhat of a high refresh rate experience. I mean, it's not going to max out a 144Hz monitor or 120Hz monitor, but it is pretty close, and it's definitely way, way smoother than 60Hz, that's for sure. And chances are, if you're running a 40 series card, you are also running a high refresh rate panel, so those extra FPS will be very welcomed. Also, the textures on the plank, I've seen that with the RTX 3060 Ti, they were looking terrible. Right here with Ultra textures, they're looking okay. It's still not like amazing. Over here as well, for example, like now this has a little bit of texture to it, but it's still not like what I'd call ultra settings textures in a 2023 title, right? Like, oh boy. Anyway, let's continue here. 100 and something frames per second. This part is all new to me. I haven't been here before in a previous video, so we're continuing the playthrough for a little bit now. And later today, I'll have the RTX 4070 Ti as well, by the way. Okay, this is better than our stick, you know? Can you please put that away? Joel, be faster. Please, thank you. What the heck? The stick just drops. Can we actually get inside of the house? Yes, we can. Let's explore a little bit inside. Getting around the same FPS around here, though, as previously with the vegetation, which is interesting. Also, those reflections, cube map reflections or whatever they are, they're looking okay. It's not ray tracing again, but they stay there once the things go off screen, at least. So yeah, it's like a fake ray tracing. It fooled me a little bit back when I started playing this game on 3060. I actually thought it had a little bit of RT included. Also, probably because the performance was so low that I thought RT was enabled. Yeah, it's sad. Sad days. 2023 is not great for PC gaming, you know? At least not so far. We got Dead Space Remake, super intensive game. Hello, Clicker. How's it going? Oh, boy. Okay, that's exactly what I needed the shiv for. Good stuff. Good stuff. That was a little bit scary. But yeah, Dead Space Remake, then Forspoken. That was terrible. Then The Last of Us Remake, which is also super awful. Uh-oh. Oh, this is really bad. Okay, let's use this. Nice. All right, one hit. That's great. That's awesome. Also, I wouldn't really play this game at 1440p with DLSS, but you know, I will test it out still. Like, there's no need to play like that unless you want a competitive The Last of Us experience. FPS are dropping a little bit right here into the 90s, which is nice to see. I like when the FPS drop. It means that we are in an intensive area and we should test more things. So here we go. DLSS super resolution. I'm gonna use like 25 sharpness this time around instead of 15. And yeah, it's looking pretty good. Very similar actually to native res, but again, it's slightly over sharpened still, and a little bit more shimmery for sure. You can tell on that bench, for example. Yeah, look at that. It's shimmering a lot whenever I'm moving. It's kind of hard to tell probably on YouTube though. So I start counting our FPS. We're starting to see a bit of a CPU bottleneck. Oh, no, I don't have time for this. But yeah, you can see that the GPU usage is finally fluctuating a little bit. So an i5 13600K at 5.6 gigahertz can bottleneck a 4080 if the settings are low enough. But what we're using here is below 1080p resolution internally. The DLSS is upscaling from 900 something p to 1440. So of course, at such a low resolution, things are going to be CPU bound, especially in a game that's super CPU intensive. The averages are at 130 right now, so on a 120 hertz monitor, it will feel really damn smooth. Oh boy! Sorry about that, the camera actually stopped recording, but that was interesting. That was interesting. Very good. And we got some bullets here, which is nice. Okay, how do I use the bow, by the way? Probably like this. Yeah, okay. All right, good stuff. All right, since we are CPU bound here, I think we should move on. This is not like what the RTX 4080 can do anymore. It's just what the i5 can do at 5.6 gigahertz. And mind you, this CPU at 5.6 gigahertz gets really close in performance to the i9 13900K at stock. So, yeah, you can see that this game is just broken. All right, let's go down to 1080p because, well, reasons. Nobody should buy an RTX 4080 to play at 1080p resolution. Again, you will be CPU bound in pretty much all of the games out there. You should buy something else cheaper that will perform basically the same because, you know, we're only utilizing around 70 to 80% of the GPU now. And we get exactly the same results, as you can see. 120s, it's 100% CPU bound at 1080p. DLSS would give us exactly the same results here, as I'll show you. Here we go, DLSS quality. Now we actually need a bit more sharpness than the previous ones, because at 1080p it starts looking a little bit blurrier. And yeah, it's exactly the same thing with lower GPU utilization now. So I guess that's been it for this one, my friends. We should try it out with the RTX 4070 Ti in this area next, which is pretty good for benchmarking. Can I push Ellie? Come on. I cannot do that. Why does the camera, like, every time I reach the ledge, the camera does this automatically. It looks down. Why is that? Am I supposed to go down there? At these settings, by the way, if you were wondering, it uses 10.5, 10.6 gigabytes of VRAM, which is crazy and a bit insane. Like, the textures don't even look that good, even. Like, I wouldn't say they look good. So, anyways, that's been it. Thanks very much for watching again. See you soon. Love you all. Bye-bye.